Any suspected violations of the 2021 Formula One's new financial rules won't be made public by the FIA until next week. Every team's accounts from last season are being reviewed by F1's governing body, and teams had anticipated learning if they have complied Wednesday, October 5th. The FIA, however, stated that this would not happen until the following Monday, October 10th, and that the analysis of financial submissions is a lengthy and complex process that is ongoing. Do you think the FIA are treating the matter as a fair process, or are they taking extra time to clear up the mess some teams made? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. It comes after a contentious weekend in Singapore, during which there was considerable discussions of two offences, one committed by Red Bull and the other by Aston Martin. Red Bull team manager Christian Horner stated that the team had spent less than the budget cap and had submitted a proposal to reflect this, while Aston Martin team head Mike Crack was shocked to read the rumour since, "We don't think we've done anything majorly wrong." The first ever budget cap for Formula One was set at a base amount of $145 million in 2021, with additional allowances for sprint races and if there were more than 21 Grand Prix, which it did as it was a 22-race season. The cost cap includes a number of concessions, but it essentially pays for all expenses associated with maintaining the race team, including those associated with car development. The FIA is effectively reviewing whether each team's application was an accurate reading of the new financial regulations, as well as whether the submissions were under the limit and filed correctly, as this is the first time this process has been carried out from beginning to end. When Williams realised it would be late presenting documents, it entered into an acceptable breach agreement and became the first team to break the financial laws. For this, it was fined $25,000. The FIA's overall review's finding, however, is significantly more worrisome because any violations may have resulted in major advantages for the 2021 season, which finished almost a year ago and beyond. Last week, Red Bull's two biggest opponents made sure that a central theme of the Singapore GP event was the budget cap and the significance of harsh sanctions for even a minor infringement. As a result, Mercedes and Ferrari's public comments irritated the FIA. The laws define a minor breach as less than 5% of the budget cap, which means that an overspend of up to $7.25 million might fall into this category, even though just $4 million would still be enough to hire dozens of full-time employees or fund a season's worth of car development. A breach in 2021, in the opinion of Mercedes and Ferrari, would have positive effects for at least 3 seasons. In a statement released by the FIA on Wednesday, the organisation reaffirmed that there had been significant and unsubstantial speculation and conjecture in relation to this matter, and has also claimed any suggestion that FIA personnel have disclosed sensitive information is equally baseless. So that means that any comments up until now mean nothing, as there's nothing to say about it. But even while this is true, some drivers got questioned about during the days leading up to the Japanese GP. One of them was Hamilton, and he wasn't too happy about the situation. In the midst of the rumours of cost cap violations, Lewis Hamilton suggests he would have won the 2021 Formula One Drivers' Championship if Mercedes had spent an additional $300,000. The announcement by the FIA, which was initially scheduled for this past Wednesday, had been postponed until the Monday after this weekend's Japanese Grand Prix. Following much discussion over the Singapore GP weekend of 2 rumoured offences, including one from Red Bull, the tension has only grown. Christian Horner, the boss of the Red Bull team, declared himself absolutely confident in the team's financial report and noted that his squad last year came in significantly below the cost cap. As for substantial and unfounded speculation and guesswork over the outcomes of the cost cap certification, the FIA has been steadfast in its opposition. Red Bull's Max Verstappen edged Hamilton by a single point in last year's hard-fought title race, which ended in a controversial Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that prompted an FIA investigation and resulted in a substantial overhaul of the FIA's officiating process. At Suzuka, Hamilton was unavoidably questioned about the implications of Red Bull exceeding the $145 million cap, plus additional allowances for the 22-race schedule and 3 sprint races. I don't want to say anything really, but what can say is I remember last year in Silverstone we had our last upgrade. Unfortunately, it was great and we could fight with it, he told Sky ahead of the Japanese GP weekend. But then we would see Red Bull every weekend or every other weekend bringing upgrades. They had, I think, at least 4 more upgrades from that point. If we had spent $300,000 on a new floor or an adapted wing, it would have changed the outcome of the championship naturally, because we would have been in a better competition in the next race you had it on. So I hope that's not the case for the sport. If Mercedes had spent that extra $300,000, do you think Hamilton would have snatched up his 8th championship title? Let us know in the comments below. So when subsequently asked about Hamilton's comments regarding Red Bull's 2021 upgrades, Verstappen told Sky, "We have our reasons to believe we are good in terms of budget cap compliance. That's what I've been told, and we'll find out on Monday." Hamilton added in a later session that he was grateful that his Mercedes team is very strict to the rules. "I think we need to continue to have transparency for the fans and the integrity of the sport," Hamilton said. "I don't really know enough about it. I know there's a lot of conversations going on in the background, different numbers and things here and there. I was expecting those results, like you, to come out yesterday. I would like to think that if it's been delayed, it's been taken very seriously, and I really trust FIA President Mohammed Ben Sulayem will do his job seriously and do what is right for the sport, I hope. Yeah, I think it would be bad for the sport if action wasn't taken if there is a breach. I don't know if there is. I'll wait for Monday." His Mercedes teammate George Russell said he won't dive into the details until he hears the results on Monday. He reiterated Hamilton's trust in Ben Sulayem to bring an appropriate punishment for anyone found in violation of the cost cap and made recommendations for how to handle it. "It should be quite straightforward," Russell said. "You accept the amount that's gone over should be the amount that's taken off for the next year's budget, and a bit more on top of that as a punishment." The drivers weren't the only ones commenting on the matter, as Johnny Herbert, a former Formula 1 race winner, said that he gets what Hamilton is saying. The 7-time world champion would view Red Bull Racing's ability to breach the budget cap as unjust, about which Herbert said, "I do get where Lewis is coming from. We don't know what the situation is at the present time. Hopefully Monday is when we really know. But I can understand from a driver's point of view. You put your heart and soul in trying to put up the best performances you can within the cockpit to go as fast as you possibly can. Then you hear the rumours that maybe someone has overspent. Then we know if that's the case, there's going to be advantage from that," Herbert assesses in Sky Sports. "When that advantage is something you hear about, and maybe you know about, it makes it harder to accept certain situations that have happened in the past or present time. I understand what his thinking is, but we're not accountants, and we don't know what the whole issue is, and we have to wait and see," concludes the British analyst. And the latter seems to be everyone's stance at the moment. But the question remains, is there any truth to the rumours? Could Red Bull have spent more last year than they were meant to be? The answer to that question is yes, it is possible that Red Bull have exceeded the budget cap, just like any other team could have done. The comments made by Hamilton about the upgrades make it seem like Red Bull heavily overspend, but that we don't know for sure. And if they did overspend, there should of course be repercussions to their acts. But whatever punishment the FIA will think of, it won't be enough for some drivers, teams and fans out there. And that is understandable. So for the sport's sake, let's hope that there hasn't been any breaches in the gap, and that we can move on to fair racing again after Suzuka. What is your opinion on the matter? Do you think Red Bull have breached the cap? And if so, what kind of punishment should they receive? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed the video. And we'll see you in the next one.